we're inherently drawn to the wonder of the world around us, and we're just finding different ways to explore that.
Yeah, different ways in. Southern Ocean, which is the ocean around the Antarctic, we removed 99% of big whales and 90% of all other whales within about 70 years through industrial whaling. And so what this project does is it uses a sediment core from that same region to try and reconstruct what a pre-whaling baseline looked like. I think the other way we learn about this study system and how we might go about restoring it is based on how people interact with this piece of art. Yes. Almost as like, the beginning of the method, not the end of it.
I mean, I think I see art as kind of a way into wonder and wandering than it is about communication, maybe. Setting more a stage for contemplation and exploration, I think is what is probably the most exciting for me about it. I think what it has in common with science, right, is that we're inherently drawn to the wonder of the world around us, and we're just finding different ways to explore that.
Yeah, different ways in.
It was very much like, here is science. It's
like,
cool. But it was like, okay, here is art, and this is like my world. Just see like, hey, this is like the breadth of like what art can be, particularly public art.
That really got us thinking about, okay, how are scientists approaching this? Are we approaching this as though we want to bring this ecosystem back to pre-whaling, pre-sealing, pre-human involvement? Or do we want to think more about, okay, like, is it reasonable to do that at all? Is it reasonable to exclude humans from our vision of like what a future for this ecosystem looks like?
Is it even possible?
Is it even possible? Yeah, absolutely, right? And so to a certain extent, it's not so much about how do we restore this ecosystem as an ecosystem not including humans, but how do we include people in that?
That was kind of like, it was like, oh, hey, that's the thing.
Yeah, we were like, oh, like that's what this means for us.
Yes, exactly.
That's the question that is left unanswered by the rest of the science.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and that's like the strength of art in this piece. Yeah.
We were like kind of thinking about art is much like science, right? Is we're constantly doing things, we're experimenting, and one of the things that I've been kind of like trying to like figure out, right, was like, oh, like we need to just like make some work together, not just like you do science, I do art, and then we talk about it. We like got to make something together, right? I was like, oh, hey, I've been working on these double exposures where we can like, I photograph one thing, you photograph another thing, and we like overlay those images in camera, right? So that's like an element of chance. We don't really know what the other person is taking. We spent the better part of a day, and then you go home, I develop it, and there's nothing on the film.
Yeah, it was funny because that kind of thing happens in science literally so much. Days and days and days of work, you realize you made one mistake. Not that that's what happened here.
No.
And yeah.
The equipment fails.
Yeah, the equipment fails. The equipment can always fail. That happens for both of us, which is great.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Science and art overlap.
I think also when you're talking about something that's in the future, like restoring an ecosystem, you have to wonder. You have to imagine some sort of future, and it's not chiefly a science question. Right? There's so much more context around that. And yeah, how do you think about that using just science if it's not just a scientific question, I think is really interesting.
Yeah. I think that is exactly where art's role comes into play.